Hello, welcome to Beginning Engineers. Today I'm going to be talking about purchase orders, shopping for business. What is a purchase order? A purchase order, commonly called a PO, is a commercial document issued to a seller/vendor by a buyer/customer that states the name of each party, what product or service is being purchased, the quantity, and other relevant information. POs are an important part of an ERP, that's Enterprise Resource Planning, your N4s, SAPs, Oracles, and keeping track of your POs is crucial for business success. A PO by itself is not a contract. The seller of the product has to sign the PO and return it, or the seller delivers the goods. That is when a PO becomes a contract. So at that point, the goods must be delivered, if they weren't already, and the price must be paid by the buyer. In general, there are four types of purchase orders: standard, planned, blanket, and contract. Standard purchase order, SPO. Consider the most common type. Think of one-off purchases where the details matter. We really need X parts at Y price at Z date. With a standard PO, the buyer already knows exactly what they need: the part number, the quantity, the price, payment terms, and delivery schedule. If you're writing a standard PO, it's probably not something that's coming to you on a regular basis. You need to go out and get something specific for your business. For the four common types of purchase orders, we're going to use the same print shop as an example. So for a standard PO, the print shop has an upcoming job where they know how many signs and posters they need to print using a special ink/toner that they don't normally use. So the shop will issue one standard PO to their preferred vendor to get that exact quantity of toner for the job. A planned PO, a PPO, is almost identical to a standard PO, except the exact delivery date is not known and releases are generated to set a delivery schedule and have a portion of the product delivered. The portion quantity for each delivery should also be defined. Back to our print shop, let's say the print shop knows their approximate consumption of toner, so they know how much toner will be needed for the upcoming year. Let's say it's a job they have that stretches on for many years, so they know the approximate quantity of signs and posters they're going to print and how much toner they will need. So instead of sending a standard PO every couple of months to buy the toner, they can use a PPO, a planned purchase order, to get a bulk discount, but only have portions of the total quantity delivered at certain times. A release every few months will guarantee that they have the toner they need, but still give them the bulk discount, the high quantity discount. Next up is the blanket PO, the BPO. Like a planned PO, in that it is planning for future purchases, but the quantity at the time of the PO creation will not be known, and sometimes the price is left off as well. So basically, a planned PO where you don't really know the quantity yet, and maybe you haven't agreed on the price. However, a maximum time frame and a maximum quantity for each item will be given on a BPO. And like a PPO, a BPO needs releases to actually have some of the product delivered. But with a blanket PO, these are called blanket releases. Going back to our print shop for an example, let's say the shop has gained new customers in existing segments and expects to increase their printing needs dramatically. To have their vendor ready, a blanket PO is issued, specifying the variety of toners needed and the potential maximum quantities needed, and an estimated time frame for when these products will be needed. That way the vendor is ready to deliver more of some of the toners, but the specifics can be worked out later, during the blanket releases. And finally, we have the contract purchase order, the CPO. The CPO is the least specific of the four types of purchase orders. A CPO only sets the terms and conditions between a buyer and seller that governs how the relationship will work. It's only in the future that POs are issued against this contract. So, in our example, the print shop has now started a new laminating department and wants to expand the relationship with their existing vendor. They don't really know their quantities yet for this new laminating division, but they want to strengthen their existing vendor relationship. So, a contract PO, a CPO, is created. We've gone over what a PO is and what the basic types of purchase orders are, but what do they actually look like? I made this video because I think engineers will be involved with the purchasing process at times, so it's helpful to know what a purchase order looks like, considering it's such a crucial commercial document. So this slide and the next one have some screenshots of actual purchase orders, and I've color-coded each section for you to get a feel for what it looks like. Typically on a PO, you'll see the PO number, you'll see the purchasing party, so both the business and the actual name of the purchaser themselves. You'll see the name of a contact and their associated info for the buyer, because sometimes it's not the purchaser that is reached out to if the vendor has questions. You'll see ship to information, so the address of where the goods are going. You'll see a date, a contract name, a contract number, and terms. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying all these things have to appear on a purchase order. These are just some of the common things you'll probably see. Continuing with our examples, you'll see part description, quantity, price, and then again some repeats from the previous slide. PO number, purchasing party, ship to information, date, contract name, contract number, terms. So yes, all the screenshots that I included do look slightly different, but for the most part, POs look pretty similar. If a PO is going to be issued, what is the process? What happens before? And what happens after? The general flow of a purchase order is this. The PO is created. Often for bigger companies, you need a purchase requisition to be approved first. The purchase requisition will be filled out by the person interested in getting the purchase made. After the purchase requisition is approved, the PO is made, and sometimes that needs approval as well. Or if you work for a company where you just create the PO first, that will often need approval before it can be sent. And the PO will be reviewed by the purchasing department or some form of management. The PO is then sent to the vendor. Once the vendor accepts the PO becomes legally binding. Then, based upon the date specified in the PO, goods are delivered and receiving inspections are performed. The vendor will be notified if there are any non-conforming products. Then a process called three-way matching is done, and this is a really good process for quality management systems in addition to purchasing. This form of matching compares the purchase orders, the packing slips, and the invoices. So you are comparing commercial documents for what the buyer thought they were buying, what was actually delivered, so what showed up at the dock, and what the vendor billed for. So the quantity and price on all three of those documents should match, noting that typically packing slips don't have a price. Of course, you can check for other things to match as well, but really accounts payable, the department at your company that's going to pay the vendor, they really just care about the part number, the quantity, and the price. That way, everything is in line with purchasing. Outside of your own quality system and purchasing alignment, three-way matching is good to catch any vendors that might be slipping in their quality ahead of time. If a vendor is having problems, they might start billing or delivering products incorrectly, and three-way matching will help you catch that as soon as possible. The final step in the purchase order flow will be the PO being closed, and the encumbrance, the part of the budget associated with that purchase order, will be relieved and available for the company again. So I mentioned it before, but why would engineers need to know about POs? Often for new projects or upgrades, a new component or material may be needed, where the function and properties of the item sought are critical for delivering success. So critical that a traditional purchasing manager may not be able to make the purchase without assistance from the engineer. If you are a mechanical or electrical engineer and need to buy a complex part, if you're not going to order it and create the PO yourself directly, you are probably going to have to work with your purchasing department. That being said, good purchasers in manufacturing or an engineering firm are very technical themselves, but sometimes they need the expert involved, and that could be you. Other than helping with purchasing, ISO 9001, a global quality system standard, and other standards mention purchase orders as being a key part of a quality documentation system when POs clearly list the products, quantity, price, and vendor. So if you're involved with your company's process and control, POs are part of that. Thank you so much for watching this video on purchase orders. I hope you now understand what a purchase order is, when it becomes legally binding, what are the 4 common types of purchase orders, and what the flow of a purchase order is from start to finish, along with knowing what they will probably look like. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I do about 1 video a month on an engineering topic or an engineering adjacent topic. Have a great day.